This is a lifting point, and this is a lifting point. Apart from the obvious difference in size, what is it that really differentiates these two lifting points? I'm going to be talking you through when you want to stop using a standard collared eye bolt and start using a swivel lifting point. When you are looking at lifting a product or a load or whatever it is, and it's past 90 degrees, you thought, I just need a tapped hole, threaded bar and an eye on the top. Wrong. You remembered as a competent person using lifting equipment that the working load limit on a standard collared eye bolt is tremendously reduced when you're operating past 30 degrees. Well, you're in luck. The Hackett HA lifting points have absolutely no reduction when lifting at 90 degrees. There is some slight reductions when using it between 30 and 60 degrees, but it's still not as dramatic as a fall in reduction of working load limit when you're comparing it to a standard collared eye bolt. The Hackett HA lifting points rotate a full 360 on the bolt axis, and they also pivot at 90 degrees as well. So the thread sizes start at M8 and go right up the way to M48. So it's essentially going to cover 99% of the scenarios that you're going to be in when you're lifting pieces of equipment. These lifting points conform to all UK and EU manufacturing regulation standards. So for lifting eye bolts, it's conforming to EN 16771, and for ASME over in the US, or ASME as they call it, it conforms to B30.26. Essentially what this states is a really stringent part of the manufacturing process and proper use for lifting equipment. So example, for lifting points, you've got to have the batch number on there, the working load limits, the thread sizes, and all of the other good stuff to make sure that this is going to be used as safely as possible. These lifting points come with a captivated collar, so essentially the bolt can never fall out. Now, if you damage the bolt head or actually the bolt thread itself, not to worry, you can purchase replacement threads from us. Hackett's offer thread sizes, like I said before, M8 to M48. They do a standard thread length and an extended bolt thread length as well. Basically, the only time you're really going to need to use an extended thread is if you've got a hollow piece of steel or a piece of equipment. You'll be able to thread it through and then thread a nut onto it just to essentially keep it secure. Hackett's do these in a metric and imperial threads, but if you're looking for a more bespoke solution, we are able to manufacture these in a BSW thread or any other type of thread that you require. Attaching these bolts is really simple. First, you want to take the lifting point out the packet. Always do a pre-use inspection just to make sure it is fit and ready for service. Find your tapped hole and start screwing the lifting point. Once you've nearly seated the lifting point, use a torque wrench for the last part to find optimal articulation. Now, you can find all of the torque requirements in the user manual. You do get a hard copy of the lifting instructions and general maintenance and care, but also you have a handy little QR code that is attached to every single lifting point as well. Like all lifting points, you must ensure the collar is seated flush to the load. When it's correctly seated, the ring should spin independently from the bolt. The advantage to this is that no matter where your hook is going to be, it's always going to swivel out and follow the path of least resistance. However, when just using one of these, you're going to have the load a little bit off center because how the bolt is actually designed. So we recommend always using these lifting points in a minimum of 2. You can use these up to 4 as well. If you have only one tapped hole on your load, then I recommend the Hackett Swivel hoist ring. You can watch the video on that on the link on the screen now. The Hackett lifting point swivels 360 degrees as well as pivoting 90 degrees, allowing you to orientate it to the appropriate angle of lift. This is going to completely mitigate the risk of damage when used correctly. Its operating temperatures is from -40 right up to 200 degrees Celsius without any load reduction. If you need help with a lift or any advice on lifting your points at all, leave a comment below or give our sales team a call. Thanks very much. My name is George. Remember to always lift more, worry less with LES. Thanks a lot.